Today's episode is a big one. We're talking about something I think most of us wrestle with quietly: self-championship versus self-sabotage. And if you're in a season where you're trying to start over or build something meaningful, this internal battle seems to show up every single day. Hey, it's Rachel, and welcome to the Daily Champ. This show is all about what it takes to reset, rise up, and champion yourself in the process. Here's a question I want you to think about as we dive in. Am I showing up for myself today or standing in my own way? Because even the most ambitious, successful people I know have days where they sabotage their own progress. The difference? They learn how to catch it, they learn how to pivot, and most importantly, they decide they're worth fighting for. All right, so I'm going to split this episode into 3 sections. We're going to talk about what is self-sabotage. We'll talk about what is self-championship, and then we're going to talk about that daily fight. And I have something interesting for you at the end of the episode, so I hope you stay with me. Okay, what is self-sabotage? At its core, it's any behavior, thought, or habit that holds you back from what you say you want. And it can look like procrastinating when you promise yourself you'd start today. It's saying, I'm not ready yet, over and over. And it's shrinking when you were built to take up space. And lastly, picking comfort over growth. So, it's not always dramatic. It's usually quiet, familiar, or even convincing. Most often, it's rooted in fear of failure, fear of being truly seen, sometimes even fear of success. It seems that it will masquerade as self-protection when really it's resistance. So I'll be honest, I've seen it a lot in my own life, and I want to tell you more about that. So this podcast was supposed to launch over a year ago. And some things in between that really held up the progress. I was moving, I was helping to launch a business. It's summer, I want to go hang out at the pool. But I think deep down, if I really wanted to do this, I would have done it. And I feel like I really did deep down want to do this, but there was this, I guess, fear of showing up. Because now that first year, that first month that I was so excited to get it going, I had all the excuses. 3 months went by, 9 months, and now we're here. And even over the past couple weeks, some of my excuses were, this set's just not ready. And some of that's true. I want to lose a couple pounds. And I don't know, I was kind of going through something pretty difficult as well. So the last couple of days, instead of being right in this seat right now, I procrastinated. I self-sabotaged. I watched so many different series on Netflix, hopped over to Prime Video, watching all these other different YouTube channels and really admiring so many people for just making it happen. So, but a couple of, other examples that I do want to share of what self-sabotage looks like. And I think, for one, it's not listening to close friends or family when they have an objective, loving perspective that could save, you some real heartache. It also could look like jumping into a new company or partnership or even relationship without doing enough due diligence. And you are just simply believing it's all going to work out instead of taking the time to ask the hard questions. It also looks like knowing how much better we feel when we're physically strong, but yet we're too lazy or too inconsistent to stick to the habits that get us to the gym or take us on that run. So maybe your examples look different, but the pattern is usually the same. It's resistance dressed up as safety. And you know what I would love? I would love to hear from you. I'd love if you could even share your own self-sabotaging patterns or, even stories that you feel recently that are telling this same story. So if you want to just leave that in the comments, I would love to read them. And then there's going to be other ways that we can connect, but I'll share that more later on. All right, section 2, what does self-championship look like? Okay, let's really love this one, right? We just went through all like the different more negative stories or just, heartfelt stories in a sense that, we all we truly are the ones that get in our own way. But let's talk about what a champion does. If we've kind of figured out what holds us back, so what moves us forward, right? So self-championship is showing up even when no one's clapping yet. It's choosing the harder yes because it leads to growth. It looks like boundaries, rest, risk, and belief. And it also looks like speaking to yourself with the same respect that you would give someone you love, right? We always get down on ourselves the most. But here's what it looked like for me. And just before I get into that, a lot of these stories, have to do with me, but it is really just a way of connecting. As I build out these podcast episodes, I will find like the perfect balance, but I really want to kind of share some information that I've learned along the way from my experiences, also from reading and talking to other people. And then sharing some of my personal experience just to simply connect you. So I'm going to talk about, ways that I self-championship. And, number one, it's showing up for my fitness, even on the days that I don't feel like it. Like I love being I love boxing. I love lifting, moving in general. And I just know, and I do all that because I know it pays off in my energy and confidence. So And you'll see throughout that I do talk about wellness and fitness as part of being as part of championing yourself, because I do believe that the body and the mind, when they are aligned, you're creating your best self, you're creating your strongest self. Another way is making time for continued learning. You're reading, listening to podcasts, taking courses to keep growing mentally and professionally. Okay, but I'll just say I've got a list of books that I have not finished or I didn't start. That is a form of self-sabotaging because I know that information is only going to make me more intelligent and more cultured, more aware. Another example is investing in relationships, checking in with friends, being honest in tough conversations, and letting yourself be known. And then this last one I'll say, it's just being reliable, keeping your word, following through, even it would be easier to cancel. The best example is you have plans to go out with your girlfriend or you had plans to go to that business meeting, but you cancel. And I get for legit reasons, but sometimes we just want to cancel. Just know that following through on your word is truly being a champion, and know that that person has also, made time. So I throw that in because we're all, that's all a good example for each and every one of us. But, just to say that being your own champ doesn't mean you always feel confident. It just means that you stay committed. And sometimes championship isn't loud. It's a whisper. It's saying, you've got this, show up anyway, you've got this. I think a lot of times that little voice can really be needed in the morning, right? When we want to get our day started, but like, oh man, another day of work, or I got to go to the gym. No. You've got this. Show up anyway. And if not, the dog or your kids are there to get you up, right? All right. So for this third section, the daily fight, here's the truth. You don't decide once to be a champion. You decide daily. It's in the small choices. Okay? Going to the gym, even when you don't feel like it. Reaching out for help instead of shutting down. Stopping the wait for perfection and just starting. Rewriting the story in your head when it no longer serves you. So the more aware you become of your patterns, the more power you have to shift them. And I'm going to share more of this in an upcoming episode where I'll talk about pivoting versus running away and knowing the difference and choosing with courage instead of fear. But for today, awareness is the first step. Obviously, this is the Daily Champ. I keep playing on that word. I felt really led to talk about this, speaking from my own experience, speaking from some recent experience. On my episodes, I really want to end it with a couple of reflective questions. I've got 3 of them for you. This might be a good time to grab a journal, some coffee, and kind of sit and really think this through. So let's get into those questions. 1, what am I avoiding that I say that I want? Number 2, what would the champion version of me do today? And 3, if I were fully on my own side, what would I choose right now? To that point, if you want to talk about those questions together, I encourage you to join my Facebook group, also called The Daily Champ, where we keep the conversation going daily. If today's episode resonated with you, please share with someone who might need this reminder too. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks for listening to The Daily Champ.